Hello, good sir. What's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. I just had my mic muted for a minute, I think.
I'm just trying to get set up here. Trying to decide what I want to play.
On the PS2.
Yeah, my um, moving up has really sort of like revigorated my want to play old games, having them all kind of out in view, I guess.
Yeah, I know
Not
how
in
that can be.
boxes anymore. Yeah. How you been, man?
Yeah, not too bad, relatively
I
speaking.
need to get on and I need to get on and like your new video and comment because I watched it.
Yeah,
I have two YouTube accounts and I watched it on my TV
yeah, right.
and I forgot to say it was really good.
The one about Rebirth.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably not
I
something you
think I
really
sat
know
and
that
watched
much
it
about,
while I
is
ate
it?
dinner.
Yeah,
Well, I know the basis of
yeah.
uh, Final Fantasy, I guess. So there's that.
Yeah, well,
I
for a
know the.
fan of the series, it was definitely an interesting game.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's inspired me to go back and play the original Final Fantasy for the first time in, gotta be decades, I think. I've actually
Yeah.
played the whole thing. I played the sort of start of it after playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, but now
hmm
Rebirth has taken the story up a bit further, so yeah, now I want to play at least that much again.
That's a game I. It's definitely on my bucket list of games to play, like the old
Yeah,
original Final Fantasy VII, just because it feels like one of those. Oh, my cat's messing with it. I need to grab my spray bottle. Hang on, just in case he starts getting too silly. If it gets too silly, I'm gonna have to spray him. But normally he's pretty good. I want to be ready. He likes. I think I don't know. First cat, so
yeah,
I'm sure every most cats are like this, but he loves like his stick toy. Um, with like a bird and a jingle on it, and he will chase that sucker around and for hours. It feels like even when I'm not touching it.
that's good. It's good if your cat is occupied by the toys it's supposed to be occupied by.
Yeah,
Most cats
I
just like
ordered him.
destroying things.
Yeah, I ordered him a toy holder. So I don't know. I wonder if it was more or less. He was a little crazier at the lady's house that he lived with, but she had other cats. Stop, buddy. Don't chew on that. Sorry, buddy. I know you don't like that, but um, yeah, he's pretty well occupied with his toys. He doesn't climb on anything really anymore. He
Hmm.
likes to go underneath my bed, and I don't mind. I don't know. There's certain stuff in the apartment I wouldn't care if he climbs on, like my kitchen counters, as long as I'm not eating or cooking, because I don't want him to get hurt or get hair in my food.
Yeah,
I don't care. But like my bookcases, he hasn't gotten on once yet, which is good because they're wobbly. So um, hopefully he just kind of sticks to that. Um, He's a good cat so far. I really, really love him. He's perfect for me. He's got just the right amount of energy and then just the right amount of calmness.
Hmm.
Like I have cameras, so I peek in on him during the day. And
Oh yeah.
he's sleeping in my chair. I put his bed in my chair. And he'll sleep all day on that. And then I get home. He greets me at the door. I need to start taking my spray bottle with me again to work because for a hot minute I haven't been. He's been getting a little too close to the door. So I don't want him to, on the off chance, try to get out.
Yeah, and it could happen.
Yeah.
They're sneaky.
Yes. I think I'm going to play NASCAR 2005. Race for the Cup.
Oh man. Fair enough. There's so many great PS2 games, and that's not one I would choose. But I know that you have different tastes.
Yeah. I am in a racing game mood. I think since NASCAR and so many of the other motorsports I like have started up, I'm like, you know what? I really want to watch I really want to play like Kart World Series on the PS2 or PS1 or Monaco Grand Prix. It's a new game I got for PS1 like a month ago.
Yeah, there's actually a Monaco Grand Prix on the PlayStation 1, is there?
Yeah, it's the sequel. It's
Who's
like
it
the
made
sequel
by?
to the Ubisoft, I think.
Yeah, okay. I didn't. Is it an F1 game? I assume.
Huh? What'd you say, brother?
It's an F1 game? Is it, I assume?
Yeah. Yeah, they just couldn't get most of the licensing, so they got like all the tracks, but the cars and drivers are fictitious. But um that YouTuber I really like, the Outside Line, he uh he played a one-off or he made a one-off video on it talking about how it's probably like the best Formula One game on PS2 solely because uh, its graphics are way better than the um, Psygnosis. I think
Yeah.
Psygnosis.
Okay, so
The
it's on.
graphics are way better.
It's on PS2. I thought you said PS1.
No,
I,
PS1. My bad.
it is PS1. Okay.
It's, yeah, it's a PS1 F1 game.
Okay.
Fictitious drivers, fictitious cars, but bordering on parody because it'll
Yeah.
like I think Gerhard Burger is like Harold Cheeseburger or something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
But
It's interesting because I don't know. Maybe that one didn't come out in this part of the world. I remember they. I thought they did one on PS2, but I don't know. The only Monaco Grand Prix games I know were on like the Mega Drive, and like Ayrton Senna's Monaco Grand Prix. Sorry.
I think it's just I don't know if they have any relation to that series.
Yeah, possibly not.
It was a simulator that they made
Yeah.
sequel to on the PS1 exclusively for some reason.
It might have come out here, but probably under a different name, I think.
On PS2, there's a Grand Prix Challenge, which is a pretty good Formula One game on PS2. It's actually one of the few, like, I don't know, realistic racing games where I completed an entire career mode.
Yeah. How many
Its biggest
seasons
thing
does
is
that
it's kind of
consist
how many seasons? I just did one season of it.
Oh, okay.
I forget what exact season of Formula One it is, but it's good. Its biggest issue is it's very similar to like the PS. It was an early PS2 release, I think. So its joystick controls feel really crappy,
Yeah.
but its D-pad feels good.
Yeah, it took them a while to get into proper analog gameplay, I feel, in that console era.
Yeah, I think PS1. There's some that are pretty good with analog,
Yeah, definitely, but some that aren't.
but
It's weird.
yes, PS2 it feels like it's probably usually the opposite. Um,
There were still games in
but
the PS2 era that I don't know, did not handle analog controls well,
yeah,
or some most of them didn't handle controls at all well. Uh, or
that'd
some of
be
them.
an interesting topic for like someone to research because like it's sort of like how games didn't handle 3D well. The
Mm.
transition from D-pad to analog control.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like it's probably really subjective too, though. Because for every game that I
Um,
don't like the handling of, there's someone that does like it. I'm sure.
Grand Prix Challenge, the handling is pretty horrible. It's very like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's kind of
So who made that one?
delayed. Uh,
Is that the
I don't
EA
know.
one?
Let me check. No. Mm-mm.
No.
Let me check. I can actually get up and just walk over and pick it up. Um, so it was made by Atari.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't play that one. I think I've heard of it though.
Atari and who's this other company? Something Racing. It just says Racing. Weird. Um, let's see. Where's my copy of Monaco Grand Prix? I can tell you more about it once I find it. There it is. Monaco Grand Prix. Made by. Published by Ubisoft. I can't read it. I got to turn the light on. Made by Ubisoft and. Oh my god, I can't even see what that company is supposed to be called. Oh no, it is made by Ubisoft. That's the Monaco logo. Like for the track itself. Interesting. I haven't played it yet, so I'm hoping it's pretty good. But the video I watched, I was like, man, that looks for a PS1 racing game. It looks pretty good.
Do you know if they did a Dreamcast version of that? Because there was some Dreamcast Formula One game that I played. I think it was by Ubisoft, but I'm not sure.
There is an IndyCar one. I think it's made by Ubisoft as well. I own.
Yeah.
It's Flag the Flag, Kart Flag the Flag.
Definitely.
And that was the area where IndyCar cars looked similar to Formula One.
Yeah. I've never played an IndyCar game though, I don't think.
It's not very good. I bought it on a whim for like $5 years ago at some retro game store. And it's cool to have, but it's not that good. I think for IndyCar racing games, to find one that's really good, that's not, because there's so few and far between. The best one, in my opinion, is Kart World Series for PS1. Has the whole kart license when IndyCar split. Yeah, that one's pretty good. And then there's Newman Haas Racing. But the problem with Newman Haas Racing, it's good. It's made by Psygnosis, and it's very similar to their F1 games.
Okay, I didn't know they made a kart game.
A bunch of the licensing. Yeah, Newman Haas. But they didn't get a bunch of the licensing. So a lot of the cars and some of the drivers aren't there, and they only got like 10 of the like 20 tracks they went to that year in the game. So it's somewhat incomplete.
Sorry. How are you pronouncing the maker of that game?
Psygnosis?
It's interesting because I've always said Psygnosis too, but it's probably supposed to be Psygnosis or something, isn't it?
I don't know. I've heard YouTubers, I think they look like the PS1 guy, I know we talked about before that, Sean Johnson calls it Psygnosis.
Okay.
And then the outside line calls it Psygnosis as well.
Interesting, because I've always called it Psygnosis since well before, I've heard anyone, well before YouTube, before I heard anyone else pronounce it. So, but I don't know why I called it that, because Psygnosis, I don't know. It sounds right.
They're a good developer.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I think they
Back in
technically
the
still
day.
exist. They're Sony something, or PlayStation something now. But
Yeah, they were sort of bought out by Sony to be, some division of Sony. I forget what they were called.
But I still think they're, on the PS1, they're probably the best developer. You see that owl logo, it's like, you're in for a treat.
But even before then, I never had an Amiga, but I played a lot of their Mega Drive conversions of their games. Yeah, Psygnosis were sort of kings of that era.
Yeah.
Certainly in terms of graphics, like, Shadow of the
100%.
Beast?
Is that the side-scrolling one where you're like a werewolf kind of deal, or Tiger Man kind of thing? Yes.
Yeah. Like, that was sort of their flagship game. I don't know when that came out. If it was late 80s
Mid-90s?
or early 90s. No, it was definitely earlier than that.
Oh, okay.
Not a very good game. But,
Really?
man, it looked amazing. Like, for that
It's
era.
one of those games whenever I watch like old gaming content, it's one that's always kind of mentioned. I think with like the Genesis maybe, or no, that's Altered Beast. But I do know what Shadow Beast is. Shadow of the Beast?
Yeah, Shadow of the Beast.
Altered Beast. Okay, I'm thinking of Altered Beast.
Yeah, that's an arcade sort of game. Well, Shadow of the Beast is a lot harder. It's a lot more complex as well. I wouldn't quite say it has Metroidvania elements, but it's not just a left to right scroller. It has sort of non-linear areas.
Yeah.
But also just insanely unfair.
Yeah.
Even for the day, it was considered just ridiculously unfair. Plus, it had really stiff sort of controls. It wasn't pleasant to actually play.
Yeah.
But the graphics and the music as well are iconic.
I was sick like 2 weeks ago, and I still have a cough.
Yeah. You feel okay otherwise, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was sick for like 3 or 4 days. I actually called off work for the first time at my current job.
Yeah.
So I was like, I hate calling off work, but it always kind of throws me off. And even if I'm super sick or something's going on, I always feel guilty later on.
Yeah, well, that's okay as long as it doesn't become unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like if you need to take time off. Sorry?
I was pretty unhealthy that day.
Yeah.
I wasn't as sick the day I called off, but like I was so tired. And it was my first set of days off at my new apartment. And just, I still had shit to move and unbox. Or not move, but unbox here, I mean. You know. That sucked. I love the old NASCAR games that let you celebrate. Like that's a defining feature of the sport itself. When you win, just being the only car on the track doing a burnout, or doing I think they call it a Dutch lap or whatever, where they go backwards around the track.
Okay, never heard it called that.
I think that's what they called it. I think because Alan Kulwicki of NASCAR coined it. Because he won a race and he drove around, or when he won the championship at Phoenix in like the 80s, a couple of years before he died, he did that. let me turn my light on. Now that I've unboxed everything and put everything away, I can tell you what all I have on my Sega Genesis. I'm gonna send you a picture. I don't have that many games for it, but I can tell you now. So, without the jewel case, I have Echo the Dolphin, or Echo the Tides of Time.
That's the best one.
I have Maximum Carnage, and then I have Ranger X. And
what's Maximum Carnage? Is that the Spider-Man game?
Yeah. Spider-Man beat 'em up.
Yeah.
Then I've got Dr. Robotnik's in the jewel case. So these the next ones are all in the jewel case. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Also
Echo
a good
the
game.
Dolphin.
Cool.
Lotus 2.
Okay.
Road Rash 2.
Excellent.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Strider Returns. Super Monaco GP. And then one that I'm really excited to bust out and play one of these days. Rocket Knight Adventures.
Oh, yeah. That's one that I've always intended to play, but for some reason, I never have.
Yeah. It looks super cool. I know it has like a remake of a sequel of sorts on the 360. And I purchased it, just like pre-purchased it in case they ever take it off the backwards compatible list.
Okay.
So I always have it. I heard it's pretty decent too. It's like a weird arcade, or I don't know, Xbox arcade title. When they were really pushing that back on the 360.
I think I got that on PS3.
Oh, okay.
Like a digital only thing.
Yeah. I had to get a coaster out. I bought Pure Wine today on my way into work. Like a 12-pack.
Of what?
It's finally made its way up here. Cheer Wine, it's a southern cherry-flavored soda in the States that's like huge in the South. And it's fine, like the past couple years, it's finally made its way up here. So I bought some.
Sorry, what exactly is it called?
Cheer Wine.
Cheer
like
Wine.
Cheer and then wine. Yeah.
Oh, Cheer 1 or Cheer...
Cheer Wine. W-I-N-E.
Okay, but it's not alcoholic.
No.
Okay.
Now I'm going to race the NASCAR Cup cars.
But yeah, that's some really good Mega Drive games you got there. Genesis games, whatever.
Yeah, it's a smaller collection. But I've only played my Genesis a handful of times. But I want to get like a newer TV. Or an old CRT, I mean. I'm trying to figure out who I want to play as. Okay. I think that's the thing I like about racing games is like, now if they made a modern one that had all these old cars in it, that would be like the most amazing thing ever to me. But you play an old racing game, Formula One, IndyCar, whatever, you know, it just something about driving the old cars. You can't drive in the new ones, or the old tracks that they don't go to anymore. Stuff like that. The different configuration. think that's why racing games, at least there's more merit to playing an old racing game as opposed to playing an old football game.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Unless it's like a sport title, I guess they don't make anymore. Like if you're like, oh, I want to play, you know, the old like NFL Blitz or something.
Yeah.
Red
Yeah, I was gonna
Card
say
2003.
some sort of arcade sports games.
Yeah.
Like I was actually playing, because it was on Game Pass, one of the new NBA games, which, you know, I used to love the NBA games in about 1996, like nearly 30 years ago, but I haven't really played them much. Sorry?
NBA?
Yeah, NBA basketball. But yeah, so I tried playing a new one, and it's just too complex. I wanted to go and play NBA Jam.
Yeah.
You just run around and shoot baskets.
Is that the one you can put in the cheat code and play as like Bill Clinton?
Yeah, I think one of the NBA Jams anyway. Maybe not the first one on Mega Drive for Nintendo back in the day.
How many NBA Jams are there?
On the Mega Drive there was NBA Jam and then NBA Jam Tournament Edition, which definitely had a lot of random codes to do stuff like that. Then, like, I never really played one after that. But I think there were at least a couple more NBA Jam games, but in the sort of arcade NBA style got taken over by other games.
Yeah. That would be a cool game for them to re-release, but I think probably with licensing they would never be able to.
Yeah, probably not the old version. I don't know.
Like, have you heard how disastrous the new Battlefront re-release is?
I have heard bad things,
really bad. I'm like, how do you release an unfinished game that was a finished game 20 years ago?
Yeah, I saw a tweet about that. It being, it used to be a finished game at a 3 gigabyte file size, now it's an unfinished game at 70 gigabytes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about you. You might be disappointed by that. But
I mean, I'm sure they'll fix it up. But for now, I'm not buying it. I've been playing that Outlast Trials, and it's great. I'm at the end of it, actually. But
hey, can you give me a sec? I just got to go. I got something in my eye. I need to go wash it out. I think I'll just be a sec.
Alright, I'll entertain your audience.
Well, I do have one person watching apparently. Did you log onto the stream?
No.
Might be one of my nephews then, or some random bot. I'll get a few of them. Okay, I'll be back in a sec.
Alright.
Okay, I'm back. And yes, it was one of my nephews who's watching. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. Well, turn it on somewhere. Oh. No, I've been playing that Outlast Trials, and I am addicted. It is very good. It's gotten really hard, the point I am in the game now, but...
You still just playing multiplayer?
No, the final level you have to play by yourself.
Okay.
Enough. But I played through the whole thing with a friend from work. But it's good. It's just as fucked up, if not more, than like the other titles in the series, which is a good thing. They didn't try to tone it back or anything. But the final level you have to play by yourself, and it's the easiest way to compare the Outlast Trials is like Call of Duty. Like you can level up and unlock abilities for your guy, and then once you get to the end, you can, like in Call of Duty, how you prestige or whatever, and it resets. In the Outlast Trials, you can free your guy, and if you free him, you unlock. I don't know if it's new trials or just the same game but harder. I don't know. But, so you have to play a final level by yourself where you're in a mansion and you have to like find, you have to carry 2 items to 2 different parts of the mansion and then find keys outside and then escape and your guy becomes free or whatever. And then, it's kind of like similar to COD, but it's a good game. It's, extremely messed up, and it was terrifying at points. Like there were some points where I genuinely was scared because you'd finish like an objective and all of a sudden some bad guy would spawn in and dead sprint into the room, or it has a sanity effect in the game where you have your health meter and then you have a sanity bar, and when it gets to 0 you get chased by this guy called the Skinner, who only appears for you, and you have to outrun him for a while, or find an antidote to raise your sanity. But as your sanity drops, different things will happen. So you'll have different visions of him, like in the corner of your eye or whatever, and then you'll have fake versions of your online teammates try to kill you. So like, I was playing with my friend, I was completing an objective, and he's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in the same room as you." He's like, "No, you're not." I turn around, I'm like, "That's not you." And there's just another version of him standing there, and his name's like I/Renegade, my friend, and the random hallucination of him's name will be like I/Genegade, so it'll be spelled differently. And then when he talks, the little microphone will appear above it, but it's not actually him. If you get too close, he'll stab you or attack you.
That is
So
a
it's
pretty
got
good
some
idea
neat
for a
stuff.
multiplayer horror game.
Yeah, it's like Eternal Darkness, where it messes with you, you know, outside of, or like, I don't know, that weird fourth wall break. But
More
it's
games
pretty
need to
good.
do
A
that.
lot of yes. You'll hear random knocking in your headphones, and I'll be like, "Someone's at my door," and then I was like, "Wait, that's just the fucking game messing with me."
I remember there was a game back in, I think it was the late 90s or something, where possibly before computer security was tightened, but the game would go into your Windows files and find a name, like often the name of, like the real name of the person who owned the computer, and would then whisper that name while you were playing the game. So even if you had not actually entered your real name, it would know your real name.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah. Bit of a privacy issue, but I don't think anyone cared about that back then.
Yeah, it's a good game. A lot of so you do like a trial. There's 5 trials, and after each trial is a challenge or 2, and the trial will be its own separate, like kind of long mission. It'll take almost an hour, upwards of an hour to beat. And like, there's one where I don't know if I explained it to you, but there's like the last one we did was it's a sex toy factory.
Okay,
So
of course.
to set up how it is you get on a little underground tram from the Hub World prison complex here in, and the tram will take you to some underground warehouse, and inside the underground warehouse will be like a model of something. So like the first area is like at the town, and there's a jail, so you have to get inside the jail. A little street of a town, so and there's mannequins and stuff everywhere to try to make it seem real. It's like MK Ultra testing or whatever. I kind of compare it to like, I don't know, like a nuclear test site where they have the mannequins everywhere going about their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
So at the sex toy factory, you have to get inside, and your entire objective is you have to find boxes. So you're moving a dude on this conveyor belt, and he's in this rectangle thing that's holding him in place, and he has a duck mask on, so you can't see anything. And the entire objective is to turn him into a sex toy. So you have to like find boxes upstairs and you have to find numbers every time you get him to a new spot. You have to compare numbers, and it'll randomize it every time you play it. But it'll say like, 486. And you have to go upstairs, find 486, and then you put it on a conveyor belt and run downstairs and have to wait for it to come down. Because if you get too close to certain doors, they'll lock. So you have to put them on conveyor belts or whatever. But each part, like the first one is he gets covered in hot wax, and then the second one, it's like they give him fake boobs. It's messed up, but it's in line with the original, and it reminds me of like Saw. Like your characters don't want to do it, but they have to do it to try to free themselves. Because the whole goal of the trials in the Outlast universe was to like, they're messing with your brains and seeing how resilient you are, and kind of screwing you over and then releasing you back into the general public to see what happens. they're making you perform these grotesque actions or else you die.
Yes, it does sound like Saw. A bit.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't shy away from grotesque stuff. It's just like the original. There's a lot of penis, so a lot of dead, naked people or naked dudes chasing you.
Okay.
Like that dude, you literally have to turn into a sex toy. Like it's pretty grotesque, but at the end of the day, it was super fun. It's just the final mission is really hard. I didn't beat it, but my friend beat it. He said it took him about 45 minutes and about 45 minutes to beat it, to play through it, but it took him like 3 tries.
Could be worse.
Yeah, he said it's super hard. But there will be there's 2 main antagonists through the game. So one appears in 3 of the trials and one appears in 2 of them. And the first guy, who only appears in 2, is a cop in a leather, like kind of I don't know what you call it, like a 50s leathery cop outfit, that a sexualized one kind of deal. I don't know what you call it. They used it in a lot of older movies.
Yeah, I know the sort of thing.
But he has electric baton, and he'll go around like he'll use it on his penis as he's walking around. Like he's covered up, but he's docking himself. He's a pervert, and he's in the first level of the jail, and then a courthouse level, and then the other one is this large woman that's wearing the skin of another person on her face, and she has a puppet with like a drill in it. So those are the 2 big antagonists, and then there's regular crazies with machetes that'll run around. There's a dude called the Sprayer who will pop out. Throughout the game, he'll spray you and lower your sanity to 0 automatically. There's enemies that'll hide in hiding spots, so if you're running to try to find a hiding spot, there might be an enemy inside of it. They work more as like a trap. Like if you run near them, they'll jump out of a barrel and grab you, or jump out of a locker and grab you and start hitting you, and you have to mash your way out by hitting X over and over again. And then there's some giants. There's 3 different ones. There's a giant lady, and they're probably 7'5" in the games. They're huge. There's a giant dude that runs on all 4s. There's a giant dude, a giant really lengthy guy, and then there's a giant dude with an axe. And they have random spawn chances. So on levels, they're, each time will be different. Like outside of if you're playing one of the levels in the 2 main ones, one of them will be in it, depending on which level, but the other ones are always random. And you'll know they show up, or they might automatically be in the level at a certain point, but there's random elevators around the map. And after a little bit, you'll hear an alarm and a light going off, and you're like, oh, someone's coming up the elevator, hide. And the sprayer will pop out. And he'll stay in the level for 5 or 6 minutes. And then he'll get back on the elevator and leave. Or any of the other enemies will pop out of an elevator as well. A shitty guy or whatever. So it's got good design. It's very gamey. But then it's also pretty well cinematic for a multiplayer game.
Yes, I like games that remember that they are games.
Yes.
Don't try to be too realistic.
Yeah. But yeah, it's super good. I probably so far for me, out of the 2 games I've played this year, that's my favorite. Yeah, I don't know. There's not many other games this year I'm super excited for. That was like the big one for me. I hope they update it because it's about I would say maybe a 10-hour, 8 to 10 hour game, and I hope they add DLC later on, add new levels with new enemies, not new trials.
They tend to do that with Outlast games.
No, the first Outlast has DLC, the second one doesn't, but the first two are pretty strictly linear single player horror experiences. But this one, multiplayer. I hope they make another Outlast someday that's single player. But this one is a good departure.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want every horror game to be multiplayer.
No, but I would say this one is like probably the best horror multiplayer game in that style, like not really being able to fight back. I know that what's that? What is that game called now? Very popular right now, kind of indie horror game. It's kind of similar. You can kind of fight back, kind of not.
I don't know. I don't play many indie horror games.
It's kind of like it struck this weird popularity, like what was it, Among Us kind of got that popular indie multiplayer game. Oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called now. And it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna look it up real quick. You play as little hazmat guy.
I'm sure I'll know the name when you say it, but it's not
Lethal
gonna come.
Company.
Yeah, okay, I've heard of that, I think.
I know like barely anything about it, but I know it's taken the world by storm. People really like it. So if I ever play it, we'll see if it dethrones Outlast Trials. But I think next up on the docket, maybe of games to play through, is I might either PGR 3 or Drew.
PGR is in Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah.
Have you played any of them before?
I have 3 and 4. I have not, but they look 3 and 4 especially look super fun.
I only played 1 and 2.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
1 looks really cool and so does 2, but I hear they're, for backwards compatibility, they're not very good on 360.
Yeah. I don't know much about the later ones, but PGR 2 was one of my all-time favourite racing games, particularly that era.
Ooh. Pretty
It's-
arcadey, right? Like arcade track racing kind of game.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's possibly the only racing game I've ever played where it's not just the racing that really appeals to me. Like, I really love the cone trials, where you got to get around the cones without knocking any of them over.
For kudos, right?
Yeah, yeah. And normally I don't like that sort of stuff, but in that game, yeah, it's really good. Well,
I think that's next up on the docket. Either that or the original Grid. Because I like Grid Legends a lot, and then, oh god, the Grid on Switch was pretty fun. And I've heard, like, the best Grid is the first one. So...
I never liked them quite as much as some other racing games. They were pretty good.
I like Grid Legends a lot, but mostly for its multiplayer. I think its track selection is sort of piss poor. But... it's missing a lot. I wish it had a few more real tracks in it. So many of them are just city streets, and they're very similar, 90-degree turns everywhere.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, I only mainly played Grid 2.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That one is the most divisive one, though.
Really?
Because it went for a little bit more realism as opposed to the other one. Or not realism, but like break to drift. And it made people mad. I think the original game, and then I know Grid Legends too, it is arcadey, but it has somewhat realistic handling to an extent. You can't just break and drift around a corner and hold your speed. But I think I played the version of Grid 2 that's on Switch. And it's like a re-released version of it. I was like, I still think it's pretty good. My big problem with Grid is it seems like they reused a lot of the same tracks. So like they use the same, they might update the graphics of course, but they use the same layout for San Francisco. It's the same layout for this or that. You're making a new game, give us some new stuff to play around with. If you can hear my cat jingling right now, he's decided he wants to play with his tunnel.
I did hear a jingle, I think.
Yeah, his tunnel, it's like a 3-tube tunnel system, and in the middle there's a hole where he can pop his head out and look around, and there's also a bell. Oh, I bought a new TV and I'm converting my old consoles to HDMI with like an HDMI converter. So I just plug my RGB composite, whatever in, component cables to HDMI.
How much did it cost to get an adapter like that?
I could tell you right off the top of my... or on my Amazon list. Hang on, let me look it up. I got one off Amazon, and I really like it. It was actually not too expensive. I got a Porta component to HDMI converter. It has 5 slots. It was $19.99.
Okay.
But it doesn't come with an HDMI cable, so I ordered because my setup, I have the Rocket Fish next to it, where I can switch inputs to whatever I want on the fly. I have it pretty close, so I got 2 small HDMIs, so they're probably like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 inch HDMI cable. So just super close together, but it's nice. I really like it. I thought I wouldn't like it because I've heard horror stories, but so far it's good. I know converting older consoles to HDMI like internally is something I don't want to do, but
some people are really fussy about it.
Yeah, I want to keep them the way, the same way they are. I don't want to change a whole bunch on them. And I know you run the risk of frying old consoles when you do that, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't want to fry it. I don't want to take it apart. And with today's world, how expensive so many of these old games and consoles are, I don't want to ruin one and be like, God, I have to buy a new PS2 now. Because when I bought my PS2, it was like $50.
Damn.
Now it's, you know, they're at least here at 150. And yeah, I don't want that. I just ran the race of my life in this game.
Well done.
And it's kind of cool. This game has a lot of fantasy content. So, like, it came out in 2005, but it has Dale Earnhardt in it. Even though he had been dead, or he was dead by then.
Okay.
But they threw him in the game as, like, what if he was still alive? So when you race Cup Series races, he's there. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, is it? It could be called disrespectful.
Nah. I mean, the family ladder is cool to have him in the game. And they have him just as good as he was in real life, so he's always up front. I think you have the option to turn him off, but why would you ever want to do that? He's like the Senna or Michael Schumacher of NASCAR.
Yeah.
And me and him drafted with each other the entire race, and now he's my ally because they have a rival meter.
Of course.
So I made two allies. I made Dale Earnhardt and Johnny Sauter, but I made two rivals with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, which is typical because I don't want either of them.
That worked out okay.
Yeah. I did order another NASCAR game off of eBay. Someone said it was like the best on the 360. NASCAR 15. Like the Xbox One and PS4 were out by then, so I don't know why it didn't come out on those newer systems, but it's on 360. So I heard it's good. It's made by Technics, and I think let me look them up again. And I think Technics made other racing games back in the day. Pretty prolific.
Don't think I've heard the name.
I gotta look it up. You'll probably recognize what games they've made. So, they've made stuff like Speed Ace on the Atari. Ninja Commando. It's World Soccer. Oh, they switched to Merit Studios for a couple years and made like Micro Machines on the SNES. Micro Machines 2. Those are pretty big games. Motor Mash, 007 Racing, Le Mans 24 Hours, F1 World Grand Prix 2000, Street Racing Syndicate, Fast and the Furious, Ferrari Challenge, Supercar Challenge, and then they raced NASCAR games for a couple of years. Oh, they made one I like right here, NASCAR the Game 2011. I like that game a lot.
Which one?
But their final NASCAR the Game 2011.
Okay. So many NASCAR games. One.
But they made like a lot of back on it looks like PS1 and before they made a lot of Motor Mash Total Driven I've never heard of. Looks kinda cool. It's like Micro Machines seems like that was probably their biggest game. They made a lot of Amiga games like Universal Warrior.
Micro Machines on the SNES. Did they just They do the
They
conversion?
made both.
Yeah. That was made by Codemasters, I'm pretty sure. Was it just the SNES conversion they did?
Maybe, I guess. They made the SNES and NES versions of those games.
Yeah. I just don't know if they're the same, like an actual conversion or a unique game.
Oh, yeah. What was Micro Machines on by Codemasters?
Mega Drive, and I'm pretty sure that was the original version, but I can't be sure.
Okay. That Total Driven looks kind of interesting. I wonder what that is. I don't know who I want to drive as. It's kind of funny. I mean, after recent world events in the past couple of years and for today, the funniest NASCAR sponsor of all time to me, and it just seems so weird now in retrospect, is Pfizer. Pfizer had a NASCAR in the early 2000s. They would sponsor Mark Martin in the 6 car, and my dad has a bobblehead that I have now here at my apartment with Mark Martin, and he's wearing his Pfizer fire suit. And then Pfizer also, I think, owns Viagra, so Viagra would sponsor him on other weekends.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the funniest NASCAR sponsor ever, just Viagra.
Yeah. Sounds about right for today's
Yeah,
world.
but any like when I think of NASCAR, I think of like DeWalt or Home Depot
Yeah.
or Lowe's or beer or car products, and then there's just Viagra. And they sponsor an old guy. He was in like his 50s or whatnot, like the oldest driver on the grid.
I wonder if that's a coincidence.
I don't know. But it makes me laugh. It's kind of funny in retrospect. I don't know who to drive as though in this. I always go for like the same guys because I like Robbie Gordon, so I race a lot as Robbie Gordon. But maybe I'll go with, I don't know, Paul Menard or
My internet seems to be having issues.
have you so how far along are you in FF7, the original now?
Well, today I just started the section that's covered in Rebirth.
Okay.
Because like Remake covers the essentially the first
Mm-hmm.
the first section in Midgar, in the big main city where you start out. It's like a whole section of the game. It takes about minimum 5 hours to do, and that's expanded into like a 40-hour game of Remake. And then Rebirth is when it sort of goes all open world up to the end of the first disc, which is, I don't know, there's a lot more varied content in that section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if my stream is actually working. I think it seems to be working. You still there, Jack? Looks like the stream's had a few hitches, at least, dropping some frames. That's okay, I'm nearly done with the stream anyway. But yeah, if I can't